Welcome to the Employment Wednesday podcast with Yvonne Shabangu. Have you heard of the scripture Hosea 4 verse 6? My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. The same applies to your career. When you don't know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you are likely to make wrong career choices. But worry not. Employment Wednesdays is here for you to offer you all the answers relating to your career and offer you strategies to develop your career. Enjoy. If you are like me and you have been wondering what it's like studying at Stellenbosch University and what it is being an occupational therapist, this episode is for you. Grab your tea and lock in. I'm your host, Yvonne Shabangu. Welcome to another episode of Employment Wednesdays. We're going to start off with shoutouts. The first shout out goes to Bells Mutwane. She says, I love this interview so much. Yours is so beautiful and sincere. I really love the progress. It's better than perfection. I felt that. Special shout out to you, Belt Mutwane. If you're not following Sister-in-Law, please kindly follow Sister-in-Law on all social media platforms. And our second special shout out goes to Emmanuel the Messiah. He says, lovely conversation. I know Ndlamu personally, and he really is who he says he is. I can't wait for a signed copy of the book. Thank you, leadership, and thank you, Yvonne, for your wonderful podcast. Then we're going to go into fun facts. Stellenbosch University apparently designed and manufactured Africa's first microsatellite, which is known as Sun SA Sunsa, which launched in 1999. They're known for being innovators. And then because our guest is like very marathony, very runny, we are going to touch on some fun fact. On the marathon, our winner marathon is Tete Dijana, and he is the fastest marathon male runner, and his best time being 5 hours, 13 minutes in 2023. Imagine not being able to beat your own record.
Imagine. That is insane.
Crazy, right? And then we're not going to leave out our best female. I can't pronounce her name. What's happening to my throat? Is it Gertane?
Yeah, Gerda Steen.
Yes, Gerda Steen. Love her so much. She finished at 5 hours, 44 minutes in 2023. That was her best time. This time, I think she finished at 5 hours, 51 minutes, right? And June is Youth Month, and it is Men's Mental Wellness Month. And it is also Father's Day month. So if you know any man in your life, show them some love. Today we're sitting with Boipelo Mbadaliga.
Yes.
Bachelor of Science, Occupational Therapy, graduate from the University of Capetown. Mm-hmm. And she is currently on sabbatical, a master's candidate on sabbatical.
Yes.
With the University of Stellenbosch. And she's currently an occupational therapist working in the mental health sector, or rather specializing in mental health, and she owns her own private practice. She's an occasional YouTuber. I say occasional because we have to bully her to be consistent.
That's funny.
And she's a full-time wife and a dog mom. Yes. Thank you so much for honoring my invite, finally.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I think this platform is just incredible, so I love to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. We are going to start off with the icebreaker questions. One must go.
Okay.
Running or your bookshelf?
Oh my gosh. I love them both. So, okay, you really know me well. Oh my word.
Did my homework.
Oh my word. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. My bookshelf has to go. Because I can watch podcasts like these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. And then sushi or coffee? Sushi being the dog, guys.
Word.
She was going to tell us why she named the dog Sushi. So sushi or coffee?
No, coffee has to go. I love that boy.
Wow.
I love that boy.
For real?
Yeah, that's my dog right there.
So you would not touch coffee for him?
Yeah.
Or her?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you name? Is it a him or her?
It's a boy. Yeah.
It's a boy. Okay. Why did you name him Sushi?
It's my favorite food. It's a very cute dog name. Like, I think it's the cutest dog name. Yeah, that's why.
Sing was sporty.
Yeah, no, Blakey, sporty, whatever. No, he's a bougie dog.
Yeah, I hear you. If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
Sure. I'm very curious. I think hence I work in mental health.
Yeah.
So being able to read people's minds.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay. In high school, what did you want to be and what influenced your choice?
Sure. So many things. An actress and a doctor. So an actress because I've always loved to speak.
Okay.
And I think that's why I do YouTube now. Like I've always loved to speak. I've always loved to perform. And in primary school, I used to do Eisteddfod. So they'd give us like poems and I'd have to represent my school, go speak like outside, speak like against other schools. And I used to get A+, go to provincials. So I was really good at speaking.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to perform. So an actress and then a doctor because I've always wanted to be in a helping career.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what changed?
My marks were not.
Okay, maybe before we talk about marks, let's talk about how was your high school?
Okay. So, can I take it a little bit back to primary? So,
Okay.
primary, I went to a pro-ed. So, a pro-ed is a very small school. I think we were like 100 and something, like from grade 1 to 7.
Okay.
And there was a lot of sports, like softball, cross-country, Eisteddfod, the speaking, netball, soccer, like everything you can think of.
Yeah.
There was that. And the reason I went there is because I didn't go to grade R. So my mom took me to school like very early. And all the big schools were like, no, like she's too young.
Yeah.
And my creche had told my mom, no, she's ready to go to school. So try and find a school that will cater to her. So I ended up going to the pro-ed. So I was a very active child. So when we had concerts, I was like, you know, the narrator or the main actor. When I did cross country, even though I was really bad, like I wasn't, I never even used to
You're not Tete Chadi.
like I was not Tete, I was not Kharda. I used to get the certificate for 4th, or that's the best I ever did, like a certificate for number 4. And I was just very active.
Yeah.
And then I went to high school, which was a much bigger high school, which is Pro Arte Alphen Park in Pretoria. So I expected it to be like high school. To be like High School Musical because it was like an art school. There was drama, there was music, there was dance, there was all these different things. And so there were so many big personalities that it almost drowned me. Okay. Like I remember when my grandmother came to see me at the grade 8 play, I was like a tree.
Like you're just...
No, I was an actual tree in the play.
And you're used to being the narrator
Exactly.
and having the spotlight.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And then I was like a tree. And my grandmother was like, why did you call us here? Like to see you being a tree. Like you just stood the entire play.
Yeah.
So I think when I got to high school, because I used to wear glasses and they were super thick. And my teeth were crooked, so I had braces. So when I went to high school, I was very self-aware. Like I was I had a low self-esteem. Yeah. I was just very aware of my shortcomings. I was no longer the Boipelo that I was in pro-ed private school. I was in the A class still studying, still, doing well in school. But I was the big personalities that I saw kind of drowned my little personality.
Okay, so you speak about being very self-aware and having a low self-esteem during that time. Wait, before I go into what happened to the spectacles? Did you get some operation?
Yes!
Because I want to go for it.
I got an operation at Safe Sight in Sandton. Amazing experience. Like I haven't worn glasses since. But because I was very desperate for my glasses to leave. So when I went to UCT, I told my mom I need to get contact. I need to be in a school where no one knows me with glasses. And that's exactly what happened. So when I went to
my 3 trillion.
if you have medical aid, you're sorted. Like I didn't pay anything out of pocket.
Okay.
So yeah. But it is an expensive procedure. But yeah, so when I went to UCT, I literally stopped wearing glasses. I got contact lenses.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned having a low self-esteem during that time. What changed? How did you navigate that?
Sure. So my glasses were super thick. So your glasses are quite big. I couldn't get a big glass because the frame would be just too thick.
Oh,
the frame was so thick that you can see. Like when someone is looking at me on the side, they can see how thick it goes out of the actual frame. So the the lens was that thick, is what I mean. So I used to get bullied about it. Like, oh, you can't see. I remember a teacher told me that your lens is as thick as the sole of my shoe. Yeah, my mom fetched him though. My mom was like, not playing, okay?
Not with my child.
Yeah, so I think what changed was my family used to speak a lot of life into me. Like, you're so smart, you're beautiful, don't worry. And then I got braces, obviously. So I do believe in changing some things that you're unhappy about. But also just having people who are going to speak life into you. And eventually I got prettier as I grew, to be quite honest. Like, I wasn't...
Or you started feeling prettier because, I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
You've always been, it's not like you did Botox or anything like that. You're still the same girl. Okay, love that. And then you mentioned that your dreams changed because of your marks.
Yep.
Like, what happened with the marks? Where was the turning point or the trouble?
So in high school, I was very, very much just a little bit above average.
Okay.
I was never, like in primary school, I used to study, I used to want more, you know. And then in high school, I was just a little bit above average. I was that girl in life science class. I'd be like to my other friend, Andani, friend, did you do your homework? And she'd be like, no, I didn't. I'd be like, yes, we both didn't.
So you knew that you just need to have more. Like, when you go to detention, you're going with other people.
Scheme, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, like I was just not as serious about my schooling. I think I should have been a little bit more serious. And I was still in the A class because at our school, they kind of took you into like A if you're like very smart. Like they kind of put it according to that, I think. I don't know. So I was still in the A class and I would just get through things by doing the bare minimum. Like as long as I study for exams, then I'm fine. Also, I was a little bit too involved in church, if I'm being completely honest. Like, my mom used to shout at me because I used to go to Wednesday prayers and come back like at 11 p.m., be packing up sound with people. And she'd be like, you're in matric. Why are you coming back at 11 p.m.? She once banned me from going to church. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. So I think that's why I ended up just doing above average in high school. And I had this dream of being a doctor and my marks just didn't translate into that. So I did apply to schools for medicine and I just didn't get in.
Okay. I love that you mentioned this. I hope I won't be taken out of context, right? But your mom bans you for being involved in church, right? And I believe in prayer. I believe in God before everything, but I also believe in discipline and balance and priority and season, because even the word self says there is a time for everything, right? That moment she bans you, she says don't go there. How did that make you feel? And also, as you were like taking much more interest in what you're doing at church and sort of neglecting your studies, like, didn't you fear that you might fail, or you thought, you know what, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world?
So that greater is he that is in me. I was a little bit delusional. But also, I used to tell my mom, like, people are banning their kids from going to clubs. When are you banning me from coming to church? Like, what do you mean you're banning me from going to church? And my mom is actually the reason I am where I am today. I don't want to lie. Because I was just too relaxed. Even in matric, my mom was forcing me like, dude, apply for varsity. Why are you not applying? I was so lax about life. Like, I just thought life works out, man.
Yeah.
And that faith is still the same faith that I have today. But now I also have the discipline. Now I also believe that, yes, you can pray, but study to show yourself approved. Work hard. Like, you can pray, but make sure that your work also backs up. Like, pray like you don't work, but work like you don't pray. Yeah.
I love that. And I think wisdom. Are you now happy that she banned you? Did you find a way to actually go out? Because I know we always have a plan.
We always have a plan. So she didn't ban me from Sundays, but she banned me from Wednesdays.
Oh, okay.
And she was just like, you're just not going to go. You're just not going to go anymore. And I'm grateful for that, because then I started to study a bit more.
Okay. So you grew up in Pretoria, right?
Yes.
And then why not go to the University of Pretoria? You could have came to UJ. You could have been at VET. Why go to the University of Cape Town?
Okay, so that was my mom's whole idea. So I'm an only child.
Okay.
And like I'm saying, I used to be very, like, just so too chilled about life to the point where I just thought everything works out because my mom used to help me with every single thing. Like I was very codependent on my
Present
mom.
moms.
Yeah, present moms. I was very codependent on my mom. So my mom was like, listen, you need to go to UCT. But also at UP, I was like accepted for agriculture or something like that, which is very far from my interest. Like
Okay.
it's a very legitimate career path.
Yeah, I was about to say, and they're coining it, hey?
They are
It's very
coining
gate-kept
it.
and niched, but they're coining it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was not in my interest. I don't even know how I applied for agriculture. Like that's
That's how you were so nonchalant. You were very absent, dude.
I was very
absent student.
I was very absent. But I'm very happy to report that my UCT journey was very different to my high school.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's why I ended up going to UCT because they accepted me for occupational therapy, which is a course that I was interested in, even though it wasn't my first option. And then my mom was like, dude, you need to be far from home so that you can grow up because you are not growing up. Like when you're close to me, you're just too chilled about life. Like you just think everything's going to work out and that's just not how life works. So she was like, go grow up, go. Yeah.
So basically, they pegged you away, like, bye.
Yeah. She was like, please, you need to go grow up. And then, and that's exactly what happened.
Love that. And then now you moved to the University of Capetown. Was that like your first time going there when you're going to study, or had you been like for something else?
Okay, I had been to Cape Town for a holiday with my mom and my grandmother. But I hadn't experienced it like living there.
Yeah.
So it did feel like it was my first time like in Cape Town. And I remember my mom came to stay with me the whole of O week. So
Really?
O week, I did not do anything that other kids were doing. Like my mom was with me. I was sleeping in her guest house. She was helping me move into my raise while I go sleep with her. Like I was that attached to my mom.
But how is that transition? You move from being codependent to independent, and like you're so far away from home, and flights to Cape Town, we all know, are quite pricey. You can't just up and go, and a bus from there, it's like it's a long drive. So how did that transition change you, or what did it do for you?
Sure. When my mom left, I was crying. I told her, second semester, I am going to UP. Like, I'm transferring. I cannot do this. Like, I cannot do this on my own. I was crying so much end of O week when she had to leave. I was like, Mom, I can't. Like, you don't understand. I can't. But then I was in a raise. I shared my raise with the really great roommate, Tumelo. We are still friends to this day. And I then started making friends at UCT. I started making friends in my, like, class. And I started realizing that, Cape Town is actually a vibe. Like, it's so beautiful. There's so much to do. Like, I'd go to coffee shops on a Saturday to study there. I don't know. Just things started changing in first year. And I started making friends in the libraries. Yeah, I was just like, actually, this is awesome.
I hope bad.
I hope bad, man. I hope bad.
No, I hear that. And then since you chose occupational therapy, were you aware of the career options you had, or it was a matter of I'm saying Bachelor of Science? At least I get to say I studied science.
Okay, so I wanted something in health science, like that I knew, right? That like not any science, like I would never study chemistry or physics or anything like that. So I wanted to be in helping careers. So I remember in Rhodes, I even applied for like teaching. I even like when I tell you that
you were like what was happening with you? You were just you were just So, I'm so happy. Like you changed. You woke up.
I really woke up. It's by the grace of God. My story is the story of the underdog, guys, honestly. So I just wanted something in health science, but I didn't want to do physio. Something like I just didn't want to be making people do exercises, because that was my view of physio. Like not about helping people walk again, but like, I don't know. I wanted to be in a career where I can help people function better, which is what occupational therapy is all about, and a career that will be that gives me an option to do something in mental health, because that's always been my passion.
Okay. So also, where does the passion for mental health come from?
So when I was little, my mom always used to say, Boipelo, why do these old people tell you their problems? Because I would say to my mom, oh, do you know that this person at church is going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
It's like, how do you know that?
She would be like, how do you know that you are like so young? Why are they telling you their problems? So I've always enjoyed having conversations with people. I've always enjoyed creating safe spaces for people who are going through a tough time, creating safe spaces for people to just be. And I've also had my own share of mental health challenges. Like, I mean, when I was in Cape Town alone, going through exam seasons, I would go through like anxious episodes where I was just so anxious, like I'm alone in the city, I need to do a lot of stuff, like it would just be a lot. So I think, it started when I was really little, but I didn't have a name for it. And then in varsity, I got to be like, oh, okay, what I'm passionate about is actually mental health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. And what was your highlight of university? Lives rent-free. You're going to tell your children about it and their children about it.
My friends and I went to the Creamery, which is an ice cream shop, in onesies, in pajamas at night. Yeah, I was that kind of person. So I think the thing about UCT is that you will meet people from absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll meet people who are international. You'll meet people from all the different kinds of provinces. And I really made amazing friendships with like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
And I think my dad wanted me to go to UCT a lot. So, and that's the idea he had for me, is that I want you to meet people from different walks of life, but who are like-minded and who want to succeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think my highlight will always be the people I met and just the fun experiences and falling in love with running, because it happened in UCT.
I love that. And did high school prepare you for university?
As we all know about my high school journey. I don't know. I think, we had to write tests, and the same had to happen in varsity. I would say yes, because the high school that I went to had a lot of strong personalities. But I don't think I made the most of high school, to be quite honest. So I would say the high school itself did its best to try and prepare me, but I underperformed. I didn't show up as my best self. Yeah, no, I don't think I showed up as my best self in high school.
Okay, love that. And then now you've studied. When did you start applying for jobs? Was it easy for you to find jobs? How does it work if you want to be an OT? How do you get a job? Do you start with internships? Do you have to do in-service training? How does it work?
Guys, do occupational therapy, because you know why? You get a job immediately after high school.
Really, like as in with immediate effect?
With immediate effect. You don't even have to apply. So I was so spoiled because we had to do comserve. So I had to work and serve in a government hospital. And yeah, the job was free. So immediately afterwards, towards I think mid-year, you have to start saying which province you'd want to go to and which hospital you want to work for, and then they place you at whichever hospital. Luckily for me, I got placed at my first option, which was Helen Joseph Hospital.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was about to, why did I think you guys, since you specialize in mental health, why did I think they would place you go with copies or something?
There are people who, I think there are people who went to West copies, but yeah, it's always great that you go to a tertiary hospital so that you have experience in many other things.
Okay, how long does it take to do occupational therapy?
4 years.
It's 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 years.
And then is your placement dependent on you passing with certain grades, or anyone and everybody, you can just wabakena your 51%.
My placement in...
Where you were serving comserve.
Okay.
So what are the conditions of you being placed? Is it just like automatic because
Yeah.
you passing?
I know that you have a better chance if you're from Gauteng to be placed back in Gauteng. You also have a better chance to stay in Western Cape if you're married to someone who's in Western Cape. So there are those things, but it's not to do with marks or anything like that.
Oh, okay. So you'll always be placed regardless of how you pass.
Yes, yeah. You'll always be placed, but you might not be placed at your first option.
Oh, okay.
You have 3 options, so you might not be placed at your first option. And I don't know how they work it out, because you just then find out later on when you've been placed, and then yeah.
And how was your transition like into the workplace? Did university prepare you well enough?
Yes. There I would say uni really prepared me well for it. So my transition to working, oh my goodness, it was tough because you're working in a public hospital, and it was during COVID.
Oh, okay. That's when you got to serve your comserve.
Yes, during COVID. And the first half of the year, I served in physical health, which COVID units were one of them. And so that was a very tough time. But also at UCT, they prepare you because you do practical blocks where you do go to hospitals and you do serve, and then you get marks. You have to demonstrate your learning abilities. You have to demonstrate what you've learned and all the principles that you are applying to this patient. You have to write assessment plans for the patient. You have to do all of that. So... And then you have a mid demonstration and an end of the block demonstration. So they did prepare us well. But it was during COVID. Nobody could have prepared us for COVID.
Yeah.
So that was very strenuous. But I think, I really enjoyed it. I still have a good relationship with people that I worked with.
Okay. Love that. And what are the requirements for one to study occupational therapy, like from high school level?
Okay, so there's a certain APS score, and I think you need to get around 60 for either life science or physics.
Okay.
And I think around 50 for maths.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing.
Okay. Easy. Wait again. Now
Guys,
I wish I had gone that route. Because I was doing sciences. I literally dropped them in grade 11. Yeah. I was that kid. I was doing about 9 subjects.
Sure.
And then I dropped physical science in grade 11 first term, life science second term, grade 11, just before prelims. And then grade 12, I left pure maths and started doing maths lit. And I got a distinction in maths lit.
Why, if I may ask?
Because, and I wish somebody had advised me, right? I do feel like in high school, I was obsessed with the idea of getting really good marks, right? So my pure maths was always like 61, 65. I would fight to get on a 70.
Sure.
So I had this anxiety that when my matric results come out, I will get like your 80s everywhere else. And then I would get like a 50 in pure maths.
Sure.
You know, so I was just like, you can go. Because it's like I'm going to be studying law or journalism or arts. So I'm not trying to be in the science stream or anything like that. So, yeah, that's why I left it.
But look at where you are. You're doing your PhD. You didn't need physics
Like, I didn't
and
need
whatever.
math.
No.
Okay, so you transitioned into the workplace. How was that experience like?
Okay. So first I worked in comserve, right?
Yeah.
And I got the job, I didn't need to apply. That was amazing. But it's only for 1 year.
Okay.
So afterwards, they cannot retain you because they need to get the other set of comserves.
Oh,
You
okay.
guys have to leave now.
Okay.
So I started looking for jobs in October, September for people who are looking for post-comserves in their own practices. Listen, I had gotten married that year, but I was willing to work anywhere, like Bloemfontein, wherever. And I got rejected so many times. And what's so sad is that I would get interviewed and then I would just get rejected. I'd get interviewed and then I'd get rejected. So I spent 2 months unemployed,
Okay.
January and Feb. And March, I got a job in an inpatient mental health hospital.
Okay.
So really, all of those delays or those denials, those rejections at that time, I'm so grateful for them now.
Okay.
Because that is where my private practice even started, at the mental health inpatient hospital. And I really got like the job that I wanted, because I was applying for physical health, mental health, special schools, like different kinds of jobs.
Yeah.
But I thank God that I got placed in mental health, because now I get to live out my passion.
Love that. That moment you done with, when did you start applying? For people at home who may be serving their comserve and stuff, when did you start applying for jobs? Was it after it was done, or were you awake now?
Yo.
Do you start early?
I woke up in varsity. Now, in varsity, in first year, I wanted to be on Dean's list. I missed it by 1%.
Aww.
Like, I really was like super, now I was pushing. Now I was on my own and I had to figure out life.
Yeah.
And I just started watching people's podcasts, and that's where I really fell in love with reading. Because I was like, oh my word, people actually live such excellent lives.
Yeah.
People actually love their lives. People don't just go to work, come back, cook, sleep, go to work. Because that was my biggest fear, just living a life that I don't like and settling for something that I don't want. So I definitely woke up in varsity. And then I started applying for jobs September of my comserve year.
Okay.
Because I wanted to start working in January already. I didn't want to have any unemployment, nothing.
Okay.
Then I was unsuccessful. January and Feb, I got a good interview, second stage, third stage, and eventually they were like, okay, you can start 1st of March.
Okay, I love that. In the time that you were getting these rejections, in the 2 months, or rather the 4 months, right?
Yeah.
That you're getting these rejections, what did you learn about yourself, and how did that impact your self-esteem again? Because sometimes those no's, yes, they're just mere no's, but it does change how you see yourself or how you see your worth as a career person.
Yo, it was so tough. Like, it was honestly so tough. I don't want to lie. I always used to say, because I do like to converse with people, I make connections quite easily.
Yeah.
But I kept getting like no's after people have met me. So I'm like, oh my God, is my personality a 0? Like, I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I was just post-comserve. So Vele, I don't know much. I know what I've been taught and everything. So the one that hit me the most was a corporate job that I had applied for, right? And it was to be a disability assessor for a certain big corporate company. I made it through the first stage. I made it through the second stage. I made it to psychometrics. And it was just the two of us. And they chose the other one. That one was gut-wrenching, because I had told everybody, guys, I think this one I'm in. Like, the other ones, they would just send me like, no. I remember another one that I did for a special school. They asked me, say in Afrikaans, why you're the best candidate for the job. I said,
you're like, in this era.
I said, ek is 'n hard werker. If you believe it, yes. If you don't, I don't know. But that one was the one that hurt me the most. But for the others, people around me, again, like my mom, people around me kept speaking like life into me. Like, dude, you are getting the interviews. Like, use that as experience for the next one.
Yeah.
Take the learnings, like recognize what didn't I answer well. And I would ask for feedback from them. If they're willing, they're busy, so some didn't get back to me via email. But some did, to say, you know what, we didn't take you because you're too far for the Bloemfontein one. You're too far, we don't want you to pack up your life and move here for this job. Yeah.
Okay. And what does an occupational therapist do? What does your day look like?
Okay. So occupational therapy, right, is helping people get back into functioning in their everyday lives.
Okay.
People like you and me who are healthy can take for granted showering, bathing, being able to run, being able to sit here and do a podcast.
Yeah.
But for someone who has been in a car accident or has had a traumatic brain injury, they can't even lift up their arm to be able to eat properly. They can't even walk properly. They can't even or for someone who has severe depression, who can't even get themselves, and they're studying in their final year. They can't wake up. They can't get out of bed. They are so debilitated by their illness that they are unable to function in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
That's where we come in as occupational therapists. So for me, I work in an inpatient mental health facility, and I also have an outpatient mental health facility. So I work with people who are very severely depressed, who have PTSD, severe anxiety, who are maybe even suicidal, and they just cannot, they cannot function in their day-to-day life. Their work is affected now. Their relationships are affected. Because being depressed doesn't mean you're just sad.
Yeah.
It's like, I actually cannot wake up. I cannot study. Still, like the world requires much of me, but I have this much capacity. So I see patients on like day to day. Sometimes I'll do functional assessments on them to see how much have their cognitive functions been affected, because they're not getting their targets at work. They are maybe getting warnings, but it's actually because of illness. It's not because the person is just not performing. And I'll get involved, talk to the people at work, try to do structure and routine for them, just rehabilitate people to be able to ensure that they're able to function day to day.
Yeah, that's some deep work.
Yeah.
And what do they call it? How do you center yourself? Because I can imagine that takes a lot to navigate, because you are dealing basically with people that need you to bring them back to life.
Yeah.
In essence, right? How do you center yourself? How do you manage to separate that from your day-to-day life? Because, I mean, it's easy. You could easily carry it home or carry it into your space.
Sure. I will say the person who walked into that job, working in inpatient mental health day one, and who I am now is completely different. Two different people. I have heard some of the most horrid stories that you could ever hear of, because people don't just end up in inpatient facilities. There has been a long, gradual journey for them to be there. And so, like you're saying, I have had to learn to center myself. And some of the things I do is, one, I have my own psychologist who I go to. I believe in therapy myself. So I don't do it and think, oh, woe is you. I've got my life figured out.
Yeah.
I have someone else who holds space for me.
Yeah.
Two, it's why I run like a mad person, because
That's why you're doing the comrades next year.
oh, I don't know
I'm just
about
putting
90.
it here on record. We're all going to Devon again.
I don't know about 90, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's why I run so much, because it really helps me regulate my own emotions. I also have devotions as much as possible. I used to say daily, but now I will say, like, okay, but by devotion, I mean reading a good book. Okay, so I literally time it, because I'm very hectic about my devotion. So 15 minutes of reading a good book, 15 minutes of reading the Bible, and 15 minutes of praying.
Okay.
That's what I mean by daily devotion. But some days it looks different. Like I don't have the time to go through all of that. So I'll just read a scripture and pray over it and pray over certain things. But I try to have daily devotions, because reading a good book and drinking a good cup of coffee while I do that really centers me. And I also am very relational. So I have like my date nights with my husband, those things center me. Friendship. I love friends.
Yeah.
My family. We have this culture of celebrating every single person's birthday together as a family. So yeah, just holistic health and wellness. I believe in that aspect of holistic health and wellness. That's what grounds me.
Love that. And how much do you guys get paid?
You know what, Yvonne? I actually had to prepare for this question. For
I'm
how
sure
to
you
say
prepared all the English in
the
the world.
politically correct answer.
You can give us a range, man, because I mean,
Okay.
we really need to be honest about this. The biggest motivators of the careers that we choose is money.
Yeah.
And also for us, I'm going to speak for people like me, people of color, we need to create long money for our people. We're looking at generational wealth. We can chase passion and all of these things, but we're looking at trying to create wealth. So it's important the type of careers we go into. We don't have the luxury of saying, I can do whatever I want, Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you. So in comserve,
Yeah.
straight out of varsity, I think we got like 20 after deductions, maybe 23.
But my 2019.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
Guys, and the thing is, my dad had a property, a townhouse that he was not living in or whatever. So I wasn't paying rent.
Ooh. Yeah.
He bought me furniture. So
Okay.
guys, I was actually living soft.
Okay.
Yeah, so in 2019, that's how much. My first job, I don't think I can maybe disclose. Yeah, but it was around the 30s. Gross though.
Okay.
Gross. But now, self-employed, it's really unlimited. I don't want to lie. And there's because I need to say this because someone said it and I copied this and I have experienced incredible results.
Yeah.
So during prayer and fasting in January, I wrote down a figure that I thought was absolutely bogus, crazy, insane. Of course not.
Yeah.
That I want to earn in a month in my private practice. And did the Lord not do it multiple times?
He did it.
He did it.
He always does.
So guys, I really want to say honestly that supernatural grace and favor works in your career. Like we cannot deny spiritual principles when it comes to our businesses and our ways of making an income.
Yeah.
I prayed over that figure. I think Tim Ross is the one that said this. I don't remember. And I prayed, I was like, God, I'm going to make this. I remember I shared it with my friends because we were fasting together, even though we were doing it through the church. And they were like, are you crazy? Like, we are young. You're never going to get this amount of money. And like, literally, it's unlimited. That's what
I was tempted to ask the figure, but you know what? I don't want the hooks coming after you.
Thank you.
So I'll leave it at that. Why did you start your own practice?
Sure. Wow. Okay. So I write my dreams down a lot. So the scripture in Habakkuk 2, when it says write your vision down so that, you know, make it plain and simple so that people who are going with it will know exactly how to achieve it. I don't know. I'm really paraphrasing it. But I write things down. And in my second year of varsity, I wrote down that I will own my time. I will be able to do things like these, like podcasting and whatever, during working hours.
Yeah.
So I've always liked the idea of owning my time. So I will say that. But I think the reason I went private was because I just wanted to grow.
Yeah.
I wanted to grow. And I thought, when is a much better time to risk than in my 20s?
Okay, love that.
Yeah, I wanted to grow and I wanted to own my time, and I just thought I'm in my 20s.
And what's the worst that could happen? You keep
Exactly.
studying over until you get it.
Exactly.
Love that. And in closing, what is the season of your life? Your time does fly so fast, eh? Okay, in closing, right? What is that one skill that you think every person should learn?
Emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation.
Yeah, because when you are unable to regulate your emotions, you can't get a lot of things done.
Yeah.
When you're constantly overwhelmed, constantly anxious, constantly sad, constantly stressed, you aren't able to get much done. So you need to learn to be able to take yourself from super high emotions or super, super low depression to a sustainable middle ground where you are able to function. That's what I've seen in practice affect a lot of people and gets also people into addictions that are not good. Someone will take a still pain every single day because they're constantly stressed. They constantly have headaches. And now it's an addiction. Or alcohol, wine, a glass of wine, because what a stressful day. And then it becomes every single day. And then I'm unable to do without it. And then, because I do also work with people who do have addictions. But I just want to say that learning to regulate your emotions in a healthy way, having positive coping mechanisms is incredibly important for you to be functional, highly functional, sustainably functional.
Love that. In closing, one book recommendation and what is the season of your life?
Okay, so one book recommendation. Okay, I've read really a lot of many great books. But I will say something that changed my life is the 5 a.m. Club.
Okay. I haven't read it.
What?
I can explain. So when the hype happened, I had an electronic copy.
Okay.
I tried reading it. I just couldn't.
No.
Then that's when I established that I love reading like paper-based. So I'd rather get a physical copy. So after you gave me that other one, maybe you can also get me the 5 a.m. book.
Yes. Oh, actually, the one better than that is The Wealth Money Can't Buy by Robin Sharma.
Okay.
Yeah. And then The Season of My Life, I think it's called Restoration. Last year, I was very, very confused in my career. I was still working like full-time, still full-time employed because it's like my private practice just turned a year. And then I was doing my private practice part-time and then doing something else full-time. And now I'm full-time in private practice. And I think God is saying like, yo, you worked like a crazy person last year trying to establish this. And I will literally give you everything that the locusts have eaten.
I love that restoration. Thank you so much for honoring my invite.
Thank you.
You are an answered prayer. You spoke on writing things down. I wrote this thing sometime 2024. I'll show you just when we exit. I hadn't even texted you. It's on my notes, and this happening right now, this moment, is like proof that God does answer our prayers.
Oh my
Nothing is ever far-fetched. So shoot your shot. DM people,
Yes.
Instagram them. You might just call yourself besties. Happy Employment Wednesdays. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If there's any questions that you have, make sure that you leave them in the comment section. And then don't forget to use the thank you. To everybody that's using the thank you option, thank you very much. You're growing the channel. Bye.
Bye.